Welcome to our podcast. For over 50 years, Hartford Family Institute has been Connecticut's premier psychotherapy institute, offering a certificate program for psychotherapists and healers and a certificate program for all others who would like to use this unique therapeutic modality for their personal and professional lives.
So here's the question. What is your opinion of therapists being in therapy for themselves?
I never trust one of them. What I really think is I would have a hard time trusting a therapist that didn't ever reach out and get their own therapy.
Would you think that a therapist who has received therapy has a problem and they're not qualified to be a therapist?
Maybe. But not necessarily. I would think that it would be at least equally pertinent that a therapist that never got therapy has a problem.
Yes.
Is not willing to explore their own depths in order to more fully be able to be with people in wherever they are.
So you're not seeing therapy as necessarily something to fix someone.
That's true.
So what am I going to get out of therapy if I don't have a problem?
You might need help with your problem, but you don't need to be fixed. It's not something wrong with you. Whatever your problem is, it's not that there's something wrong with you.
Well, suppose I don't have a problem.
Well, if you really felt like you didn't have a problem, chances are you wouldn't have sought out therapy.
That's true.
And I know for myself, with the feeling that I felt like something was wrong, but I really had no idea of ways I've been traumatized from my childhood. And again, this isn't about blaming parents because they were doing the best they could and how they were impacted. But I needed my consciousness raised to even know what was out of place, what was out of balance in my life. And so as I went in that direction and then went in the direction of becoming a therapist, it continued to be important to be in therapy. Because now I'm working with people and their issues could touch feelings in me, and I might discover that it was something that I hadn't worked through. Then I could take that to my therapy or my supervision to get my next step, so I could have more consciousness and understanding of how to help my client heal. But what you're saying about not having a problem, many people think there's something wrong with them if they need therapy. So they want to say, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't need that. They really don't understand how the quality of their lives could be improved, because everyone has finished and unfinished places.
I'm happy to have lived long enough to see things change to a great degree about anybody that struggled with things like anxiety or depression were seen as having a problem, and there was something wrong. That meant there was something wrong with them. Like there was like medical model thinking about if you have a broken leg, there's something wrong with your leg. That would be the same mindset about people bringing things in that people tend to bring into therapy, such as anxiety or depression, or problems with relationships. And that's it for me for now.
I think it's important also to delineate the difference between what's possible with outpatient therapy and when a person has an issue that really causes a disruption in their lives, and they might need more. They might need hospitalization, for example. They might need to be medicated. And so in certain cases, how they're impacted might be to an extreme that they're really not able to go to outpatient therapy. So I think often what we're talking about is people who are able to come to outpatient therapy.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started therapy, I started therapy because I believed I had a problem. And I wanted to fix myself. And the longer I was in therapy, the more I felt like I didn't have a problem. And I couldn't fix this. And that I needed to grow my consciousness to accept myself and to accept my humanness. And that's how I live therapy even now, that I don't have a problem.
Meaning there's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
I just have experiences and feelings that I need to continue to bring consciousness to.
So you learn to not treat yourself like you were a problem.
Right. So the problem I had was I treated myself like I was a problem.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is that I can be in therapy and not be a problem or have a problem, and I can get something out of therapy to make myself a better therapist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because how we learn to survive our lives is really a way, it's about survival. It's not something wrong. And when we can understand how we developed the way we did and grew the defenses we had, then we have more consciousness about how we make sense inside of ourselves. And then we can also learn new options to deal with some of the things we've had to deal with in life rather than old defenses that might not have served us.
What's it like to live that you're not a problem and you've never been a problem?
I don't think my mother would agree.
And that's how we take in that we're a problem.
And for me, hearing that early on in my therapy, I would have just been confused. What do you mean I'm not a problem?
If you had a good HFI therapist, they would have said to you, make room for the feeling of your confusion.
Right, right. As the next step towards broadening and deepening my consciousness.
Yeah, and ask the confusion what it's here for. So that everything that we're feeling has meaning and has context in terms of the way we were treated.
Mm-hmm. To me, I want to mention and include in this discussion that I would say most of what we suffer from, we human beings, is having inherited energies that our people, our ancestors, went through that were traumatic. And human history is full of trauma.
So you're saying that we have inherited trauma,
Yes.
and that is affecting our ability to see things clearly or react in a controlled fashion.
And because the natural response to trauma is try to get away from it. Try not to feel it.
So going back to your question of therapists and being in therapy. If a therapist being in therapy allows them to be more in the energy of acceptance of their humanness, that's beautiful. If therapists are in therapy because they feel that they're superior to their clients, that's a problem.
Yes.
And I would think the therapists who think they don't need to be in therapy might be the ones who feel that
Yes.
I'm okay. You're the one with the problem.
Yes. That's
In fact, I think there's some places, where you used to work, which was
Which shall remain nameless.
that dealt with mental health and did not want employees to be in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's the way things used to be. Because as a facility, they saw needing therapy as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
the more I'm in therapy, the more I feel that there isn't anything that a client feels or can tell me that I haven't felt, that I haven't experienced. So it brings me into a feeling of more deep feeling of understanding and connection and compassion.
Yeah.
The perfection of what a person is going through, and how they learn to survive, and the kind of support they learn, how to organize themselves to support themselves. That's away from a deeper place of aliveness.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stuart, what I hear you saying is that a therapist who takes advantage of therapy is going to deepen themselves so they can be more present and more compassionate to their clients. And they're going to experience the therapeutic process that they're asking their clients to go through.
Beautifully said, yeah. And what I would add to that, they are living in the experience of faith in their process. Faith that if you bring consciousness to an experience and you don't treat yourself as a problem, transformation occurs.
And we as therapists get to enjoy that benefit.
I constantly am, I'm just trying to think of the word I would use, delighted that this is the profession that I'm in, that constantly focuses on having me grow my consciousness and the acceptance for my humanness. And that's what I can bring to my clients.
It really is pretty amazing.
It is,
Yeah.
really.
All the things that I thought were evidence that there was a problem here are the parts of who I am that allow me to more deeply connect with my clients. It's a hell of a way to earn a living.
But without therapy, you would have continued to think they were a problem.
Yes, and I would have reacted the way I was reacting. Well, it's not like I would have. I did react very early on, and still at times still do react to clients. And to the extent that I can't accept that, oh, I know about this because this is in me too. To the extent that I cannot do that, I have to be superior to my client. And that's what we call acting out. And that's not helpful to clients. So the more conscious I can be about all the different places of trauma inside of me and all the different parts of who I am that learn to survive that trauma, the more I have acceptance for all of what's inside of me, the more acceptance I can have for my clients.
So, being in therapy is a path of continuous improvement for the therapist.
Yes, and that term improvement is problematical.
I agree. So suppose I use a different word. Increasingly aware,
Yes, yes.
not improved. Increasingly aware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It allows me to say to a client who says, this is what I feel, whatever the feeling is that they see as a problem. And I'm able to say to them, that's perfect. Could you ask that feeling what it's here for and if it has a message for you? And there's no effort in me to try to change the client and get them someplace other than to bring consciousness to an experience.
And it might be the first time that they had ever experienced being met with compassion rather than some form of judgment. And that can take people by surprise, because if they're really believing that they're bad or wrong or a problem about something, that comes up against that belief on a body level. How could someone still be with me, still think I have a right to exist here when I'm saying how terrible I am?
It reminds me of a client saying to all us as therapists, you're just saying that because you're a therapist.
Yes, you have to say
You have to say, that's your job to say, to be accepting. And my response to them is, I want you to trust your senses. What's your sense of me? Not what you're thinking, what's your sense of me? And I don't try to convince them of anything. I help them connect to their sense and to trust their own senses.
I want to say another piece about why I'm saying I see that word as being problematical. If I'm, as a therapist, constantly feeling like I need to approve, that means I'm in a position of pressure in relation to myself. And I want to bring consciousness to all the places inside of me where there's pressure. So that I can heal that and then approach my clients from a place of meeting them with no pressure. And that's always, I think, for all of us, a work in progress about practicing from that place. Period. I navigated myself into a corner there.
So going back to the question, we were all saying the importance of the therapist being in therapy as a way of supporting their humanness and supporting them treating all of their clients as human and not treating them like they have a problem. They have feelings that need support and understanding of how they organize themselves in relation to the abuse and to stay safe. And they don't have a problem.
So this change in attitude about our clients sounds like a fundamental axiom
It's a paradigm shift.
that is supported at HFI.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is supported, it is taught. Yes. Emphasized. It is fundamental.
And if I accept that paradigm, I'm going to see therapy in a fundamentally different way, and I'm going to want it for myself.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully said. Yeah. You're not to be fixed.
You don't need to be. Are you trying to tell me I don't have a problem?
I have good news and bad news.
I don't have a problem, but I think I do.
You don't have a problem, but you may want to spend a lot of time and effort and money becoming more deeply aware of what's going on. And as a therapist, being able to take that awareness as how to do the work.
Mm.
That's like the center of our training program, is to sit in the therapist chair, feeling whatever feelings we feel, and being aware of those feelings and hypothesizing, oh, this feeling I'm feeling right this minute might have great meaning about what my client needs something about.
Mm. And if I don't avail myself of therapy, I'm going to miss that. It's true.
There's something I want to say. Let's see if I can find the way I want to say it. It's about having an experience. Until someone has actually had an experience of being helped by therapy, they might have all kinds of preconceived notions about what it means, or having had resistance about coming for therapy. But once somebody experiences, wow, that really made a difference, I can feel how I'm living this differently, then that makes a shift where it's more likely someone's going to say, I want more of that, because now I really know what this is about. It's like you can't learn to swim from reading a book. And until you've experienced something healing about therapy, it could be the kind of the same way. Oh, this is what I heard about it, and this is what's probably going to happen, and you know.
What you're saying has got me thinking about when you use that that comparison to swimming. I don't know, I'm just going off on thinking about this. Yeah, learning to swim to a great extent involves learning to have faith in the water. And that I can surrender my body to the water, and the water's going to hold me up. When I was first in swimming lessons, I did not believe the water would hold me up. And that was scary. In therapy is kind of like that. It's about having to be able to do what Stuart has mentioned, that to be aware of all of what we're feeling. To be able to do that involves an experience of faith that, oh, I can feel every single feeling there is to feel. And my ability to feel that is not a problem, it's a good thing. That's a tremendous amount of faith. I was taught the things that I shouldn't feel were a problem. And yeah, I'm going to stop there with that.
What I'm aware when I go to therapy, there are still places in me, experiences that I have, that take a moment to put this together. I want to get out of an experience. And, if I stand looking at myself in that experience, I would say that's the issue, that I want to get out of the experience rather than have support for the experience. But I'm more in my humanness and my own humanness. There are times that I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want the feeling that I have. And so as I go to therapy, the therapist that I have has both the energy of supporting me into the experience rather than the part of me wants to get out of the experience. That creates tension in me and creates the issue of tension and could be agitation, because I'm now fighting myself. And as she has the energy of her own faith and process and her own experiences of what she's gone through, and she brings that to me, just the energy of that, it's like I can bathe in that energy.
And borrow her faith.
Well, swim in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, again, I don't know how this is going to come out, but that feels like it's about connection. And most of the traumas in our system, we didn't get a connection that we needed.
Yes.
And so that kind of being with you in an experience gives us a new place of bonding, really.
Yeah. And the lack of bonding that I took in certainly created a feeling of an attachment disorder where I couldn't, just like clients say, I couldn't attach, I couldn't trust.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust love. I couldn't trust that I was lovable.
Right.
And all of that. And we could say, I love that analogy, David, about swimming. Swimming in faith. We just live into a wave of experience.
And the therapist who hasn't taken advantage of therapy can't offer that.
Exactly.
How we doing?
Great.
How long have we been talking?
30 minutes.
That's enough.
That.
Oh, amazing. I was surprised that it's been 30 minutes.
Yeah. I had one question for everyone.
Yeah.
Can I say something first?
Absolutely.
There's something cooking for me right now about
I like that everyone's taking a new cooking class.
it's about honesty and self-honesty. I learned as a child that honesty was not a good idea. Honesty, unlike the George Washington chopping down the cherry tree story, I couldn't relate to that story because honesty only got me hurt, only brought on the next beating. So for me, a lot, I would say every step I've ever taken in therapy has been about stepping into taking in support, that if I can face something in me and I can be truthful with myself and acknowledge, oh yeah, I do feel like killing my fellow man once in a while. That's just a little example. There's all kinds of examples of that. If I can step into that and bring acceptance to that, what comes is freedom.
I'm reminded of this experience I had many, many years ago. I had just come out of a 6-day retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh, and I was feeling an incredible sense of mindfulness. And I was in this back road in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in the Tetons. And it was a dirt road between two parts of the park, very, very bumpy. And the fellow in front of me was going like 2 miles an hour. And I had just come out of this wonderful and I started to live into my experience. Breathing in, I want to kill this guy. Breathing out, I want to kill this guy.
Breathing in, I still want to kill this. Yeah. So back to the subject, it seems to me that any support I can get as a therapist that helps me acknowledge the real things that are happening inside of me, I'm just going to be more help to my clients.
Okay.
I can be a therapist who is more human.
More available.
Mm-hmm.
Energetically more available.
Brutally honest answer from each one of you, and maybe the other three can support and help him through that or her through that. What is one of the biggest challenges you face in your therapy sessions from you to a client?
Say that again. One of the biggest.
One of the biggest challenges you face with yourself when giving therapy to a client, if any.
That's simple for me. Personally, as therapist, historically, and I assume for the rest of my career, there will be times when this will get triggered inside of me, is if I sense any incoming message of blame from my client. I want to get defensive. It almost always triggers that feeling inside of me, which is no great surprise given that if anybody talked to me about I was responsible for something, that was not going to be a good day for me. So without getting into my own therapy, my only choice would have been to push those kind of clients away, which ultimately is every single client. I would have been a very lonesome therapist.
I have an example. It was early on in my therapy. If I saw a male therapist or a couple, and the energy coming from the male was similar to my father's, it was touching too much for me. So I had a couple of years that I didn't work with any males, and worked on that in my therapy. And then when I started seeing male clients again and couples, I did co-therapy until I had gotten through what was unfinished, what I needed to see about that. Oh, that was deep. Yeah. So that was major for me earlier on, and took me by surprise. I mean, I didn't know those intense feelings would be triggered. The good news is it helped me to see more about how I had been impacted and the ways that my father really, he needed help, and he didn't get the help he needed. Yeah.
Client says to me, I feel like I want to blame you. And that's not a problem, because they're sharing, and they're sharing how they feel. And I feel very open to giving them a connection for their feeling them want to blame.
You could actually be touched by that.
Yeah, I'm touched by that, and to be able to say, tell me about that. Tell me about what you see about me that you want to blame me, or what you feel like you're not getting. I'm really open to hearing that and being with that. If a client acts out the feeling of blame, which I haven't had happen in a long time, I do know when it did happen years and years ago, my response was, screw you.
Take a hike.
You need more therapy.
And then I would back up and say, I think I just had a reaction. If I were blamed, I would, that someone was acting out the feeling of blame, I would say, I need to take some time and space right now to live into my experience, is what I would say to the client.
That's a real skill.
No, it's like I would feel the impact of it.
Yeah.
And live the impact and give myself time and space to live the impact. It's like being able to be able to, I was saying this to a client. I was working with a client about a response to her husband. And I said, what would it be like to be able to say to your husband, ouch, rather than exploding, rather than feeling depressed, but they were able to share that experience. So it's like feeling the ouch and giving myself time and space to live into that experience that I've been hit.
Paul?
When clients present with a huge amount of terror in their system, it touches a place of terror in me that I'm still working on. And I can freeze. It's like getting hit with a 2x4. It's like I can't think straight, and it's very distressing to me. So I'm still working so that as I go through my own therapy, as that event occurs, I'll be able to feel the terror that I hold, and I'll be able to work through that and find a place of safety inside of me so that I can meet my client there.
I was struck by you using the term being brutally honest with ourselves. And I would say the brutality in being honest with ourselves. I want to come at it a different way. In order to be honest with myself and be able to acknowledge a truth that's been difficult for me to acknowledge, I need to know that I can still be in the community. There's a place inside of me where, and this was the constant theme in my childhood, there was the constant threat of, you're out. I was always expecting to wind up out on the road by myself. So I need to know, like for instance, I could feel like killing somebody and I still deserve love.
I remember an experience I had with a client 2-3 months ago, where she was saying something to me, and something I was with her in a way that I'm not usually with a client, is that I was trying to help her. Give me a moment. I didn't just meet her. There was an energy in me of wanting to shift her energy. And the next session, she was upset with me. And she felt that. And I said to her, you're right. I'm sorry about that. I did have that energy in me. And I didn't meet you. And you had a right to be met. And there was something that got touched in me that I wanted to shift your energy. I'm sorry about that.
I imagine that response gave her some power back and some light.
That's not the way our parents usually have met us.
Yeah, I know that felt pretty good to hear that from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that not all of us therapists can do that kind of thing without having had experience receiving that. So that's why I think it's a good idea for therapists to have therapy. A very good idea.
So does this feel complete for everyone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.